Hi, ladies and gentlemen. I am Morris Merrill, the author of Enough is Enough, Public Education Inspired Out of Control, and also I am the host of Straight Talk in Room 503. I want to come to you and today, being that today is Thanksgiving, to let you know how grateful and how thankful I am. Before we begin, I would like for you to join me in just a brief word of prayer. Almighty God, we come this day giving you praise and thank you for this glorious day. Thank you again for all of the bountiful blessing that you have blessed us with, not only on this day, but the other 364 days and leap year included. Lord, we just thank you. We ask that for your strength and your guidance. Let us all work together on one accord to make sure that every boy and every girl gets the quality education that they so desperately need. Education makes a difference in a person's life. Lord, we thank you, and again, amen. Ladies and gentlemen, I just wanted to come to you today to let you know how much I appreciate those of you who supported me. As I ran for school board, and then as I resigned, and as I made the decision to return, you was there, and I appreciate you. Every one of you that voted, even those who did not vote. I want you to know that I represent now not only the 6th not congressional district, the 6th district, school board district, as well as I represent every citizen in Madison County and the city of Jackson. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, lots of times people do things and people are quick to say, I don't understand. Why did they do this and why did they do that? Well, let me say this, you're wasting time. Because if you're not that individual, you'll never understand what makes a person do this and what makes a person do this. Just be understanding. And the best thing in place of running this here, why don't you just simply pray for the individual? So again, I want to thank all of the people who, during the time that I resigned from the Madison County School Board, who prayed for me and encouraged me and called me. The many, many hundreds of calls that I received, I want you to know that it goes without, I want you to know that I did not take it for granted, that it goes without saying I do appreciate it, and I do love you, and I appreciate you sticking with me. I appreciate you sharing the vision and the dream of where I was wanting to go with that. I really do. And so let me, if I can, say this real quickly, that that decision was not made without a lot of prayer and meditation. I attempted to do some things and wanted to do some things, could not get the support of the community, the board, and even some of my friends and relatives as well. And at that point, I felt like with all of the bombardment that was coming down, that it was probably best for me at my age and my health to make sure that I took care of number one, and that's me. And after I resigned from the board, continually praying about it, when I questioned God about why, and with so many people's calling saying, you know, you need to stay in there, you are hope, and where are we going to go? You are voice, and there's no one else is going to be out as spoken as you, and what have you. When I asked God about it and said to God, I asked you for a sign to what should I do, and I did not receive that from you. It was then that he said, my child, you did. Over 200 times I came to you in the voice of people telling you to stay your course. And so therefore, based upon God sending me the sign, I knew then that he did not want me to get out of the battle, that the battle was not even mine, the battle was his, and that he would be there for me. So with that being said, I decided to continue to do his will and got back in the race. And so glad that I did, because I really think that at the end of the day, it was never about me. It was always about the children, about the teachers, about the condition of the school system, about the buildings. We understand that buildings don't educate people, but at the same time, buildings do make a difference. And so I wanted to. And there was many, many people who made the statement that he was against the superintendent and all of that. Not ever was I against the superintendent. I consider the superintendent to be an outstanding superintendent. I want to work with him. When I am fighting, I'm fighting the issues. I'm fighting where he wants to go, where the board wants to go, and where I think that we ought to go. I'm just one board member. I understand that. So I'm never going to try to micromanage the superintendent, micromanage the board. I'm going to only vote my one vote, my conviction. And I think that the people of the 6th district, I want to say congressional district, I'm not running for Congress, from the 6th district, know that I'm concerned about young people. I think I've demonstrated in over nearly 40 years of education. One thing about it, there's not any more people that's any more knowledgeable, and I'm not being braggadocious. I'm just simply saying that 40 years of being in the system, working with juvenile court in every phase of juvenile court, God prepared me for this day, for a time like this. And so it's not nothing I have to do with it. I'm not that brilliant, that smart. But with God, I am a scholar for Christ for education, and I know that. So I'm just simply asking people to work with me, okay? Ladies and gentlemen, let me explain something else. God has a way of working things out. If it had not been, and this is on the record, and the superintendent has said this, if it had not been for I and other new board members who came on, and one that was on the board, 4 of us, 5 of us to be exact, standing our ground when it came to some issues that we wanted included in the 10-year plan. It was then that the powers that be and the superintendent and other board members got together and decided that we would revamp the 10-year plan and allow JCM, Jackson Central Mary High School, to be included in it. To those who are late to the knowledge of JCM or Mary High School or Jackson High School, those Mary High and Jackson High emerged and became Jackson Central Mary. Well, when the Vision 2020 came up, it was decided that some schools would be closed. JCM was one of the first schools that they closed, which was our historical black institution. And so once it was closed, it was not coming back. But due to the 5 board members and myself holding up and hanging out and saying we need to have some things changed before we move forward, it was then that a second revision of the first 10-year plan was revised and included JCM. Now, once that was included and they decided to build a $20 million school, then Meriwether took a look at that because it's in my district and said, well, we don't need to go back in the old place. We need to put it out so that the world can see we've been resurrected and we're offering resources and we're offering more than we had at the previous school. It was then that I had an outcry from alumni of Jackson Central Mary wanting to leave it there. And it just, to me, did not make any sense. Number one, if you put a $20 million building right back there, your backyard is the railroad tracks. Your side of your yard, one side of it, would be to a mill, which is right down the street. And then the other side, you would be facing the old JCM that was left. Your front would be the old Madison County, Jackson City, Oma Arena, which they are allowing it to run down because they're getting ready to close that Coliseum. And in 5 years or less, we'll have a new Coliseum, but it won't be in East Jackson. And we'll have to have a $20 million school where our children are looking at every day, grass and parking lot all busted up and rusted and what have you. And then number two, they're turning the building toward Royal Street, one of the most busy streets in the city. Can you imagine how much that traffic jam is going to be with people trying to get to work on a busy street and kids trying to get into the school? So my vision says that's a bad decision. But after so many people who did not want to change that, and I continue to say, I will vote for it reluctantly. But I want you to know I'm not voting because I'm in favor of it. I'm voting because I'm a team player and want to work with the majority. But that's one of the biggest mistakes you're making, putting that school back in that present location. But so much for that, if that's what you want, let the record reflect. Reluctantly, I'm voting in favor of that. But ladies and gentlemen, there's been a lot of pressure. But through that, I have found out who my real friends are. I've had many people who have called from both ethnicities and various backgrounds. I never once knew how much support was really out there and really knew that the fight and the journey that I was taking for public education. So to answer your question, I have no regret of filing my resignation papers, because from that came me going back to the board and finding out how much support I have. So I've had so much support that I've had a news media who have said, whenever you want to walk in and come on the air with your message, all you got to do is walk in and let me know you want to go to the airways. Number two, I've had a gentleman that is working with me that has called me and said, I have robocall that can go to everybody in your district and all over the city of Jackson. Mr. Merriweather, I believe in what you're doing. And so therefore, at no expense to you, you make one call to me and put together a robocall, and I'll send it over everybody in the city and Mack County or wherever you want me to send it. Then I've had other people saying with the video division of cameras that anytime you want to do this, so I have, in short, I have people who have come out because of the resignation. And so for every bad thing that we consider to be bad, God turned it around for your good. And ladies and gentlemen, believe you me, I told the gentleman that I have to do my obituary, just keep it short because I've already had my funeral. I was just amazed at former employees, former employers who have called me, have come by the house, want to check on you, want to see if you're doing okay. I would see people out, we're with you, hang in there and all of that. So I'm blessed. In short, I'm blessed. It also let me know those people who was grinning and carrying on and patting me on the shoulder, who was never in my corner. I never heard from them. Until this day, I have not heard from them. And all of that's cool, because you need to know who your friends and who your allies are. And so I'm grateful this Thanksgiving. I want to conclude this video by telling you I'm in the battle to stay. I'm going to complete my 3.5 years if God said the same. Only thing I ask you to do is, in place of talking and saying, I don't understand, is to get the person to know where I'm trying to go for the children and work with me. Because 4 years from now, I want to ask you, my people who voted for me and the people of this city, are you better off now? Not because of me, but because of what God allowed me to do for his people. So it's all about God. I give God the full credit. Yes, I do have quite a bit of education, but I don't put merit in that. I put merit in what God put in my heart and put in my mind and my soul to work for the children, for the teachers, and for the staff. So with that being said, let me conclude this. I'm your servant, and I'm going to serve this district. I'm going to serve this county. And if you're wondering whether I'm going to continue to be outspoken, am I going to be pushing the lever? I am. If I think that the superintendent is making a good decision for the thing, I, as with my one vote, will let him know that. But at the same time, if I think that we're going in the wrong direction, I'm going to vote my conviction and I'm going to fight as hard as I possibly can to make some changes. Am I going to work with the board and be a team player? I am. But I'm not going to be quiet and sit quiet, because it is not in my DNA to sit back and see wrongness and injustice and let it go at all. That's your role if you don't want to say anything. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that being said, let me conclude by saying this to you. To those who call, those who came by to see me and check on me and everything, I want you to know that I appreciate you from the bottom of my heart and I love you dearly. But I'm in the fight for the children, and I have no agenda. And if I had one, my own agenda would be for the children. So with that being said, I want to say this: we need to motivate the children, celebrate the children, challenge the children, engage the children, and we need to care for the children. So let me conclude this by saying this to you. Have a fabulous and blessed Thanksgiving. I'm thankful and grateful for those of you who are out there. I'm thankful and grateful for the over 13,000 students that we have in our system. And regardless to your zip code, I'm going to work to make sure that every boy and every girl gets a quality education. I'll be out there fighting to make sure that you have adequate schools, adequate resources, and everything that you need. So feel free to give me a call, to work with me, to do what you can. Show up at the board meeting and speak out. Let it be known. I want to give a shout out to Mr. Billy Moore. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there has been some circumstances that have occurred with Mr. Billy Moore, but Mr. Billy Moore and I have not always seen eye to eye, or saw eye to eye, excuse me. But in the end, once I sit down with him, I'm going to talk to people one by one, trying to talk to a group of you people and you're disagreeing. But when you sit down and really give me a chance to explain why I'm voting a certain way, why I think this here, I see things are changing, people are changing. So many people have changed and says, I'm with you. We would be better off by having the Jackson Central Mary or the JCM Bill at a new location. Don't worry about the name. Ladies and gentlemen, the powers that be don't really care if you want to name it Mary High School and return to Mary High School. The fact of the matter, don't let them put a $20 million building in a neighborhood that's not going to be in the best interest of location where we really need it to be. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Moore had some uncertain circumstances. Don't rush to judgment. We're so quick to judge Meriwether, judge Mr. Moore. Don't judge him. I have to say, 4 hours before he turned himself in, he put together a video. In the last half of that video, he was talking about supporting me and everything that I was doing and everything. And so I'm grateful to Mr. Moore. So, ladies and gentlemen, every now and then, what happened with me resigning and what happened with Mr. Billy Moore and others in this community, you need to get a spoon and you need to stir up things. Jackson, Tennessee has not been stirred up. Come on now. Jackson, Tennessee, the Madison County School Board has never been stirred up like Meriwether stirred it up. Now, once I stirred it up, I need you to help me to pick out those things that shouldn't be, and then to put those things back that needs to be and stir it a little bit more, because things have settled too much for certain kids and not all children, and that's wrong. So I want to conclude by saying to you, together, with God Almighty and us working together, we can and we will make a difference. Thank you again for listening. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you all. From my heart to your heart, let's work together for all of the children. I look forward to talking with you. I look forward to working with the board and the superintendent. So I need you to be prayerful, not only for me, but for the superintendent and for other members of the board and for the county commission, which is our funding source. Be prayerful about working with us because we're in it for the long haul, and hopefully everyone will agree. The most important thing is that we make sure that children are first. Thank you very much. Take care, and we'll be talking. I guarantee you. Thank you again for being in the class of Straight Talk. And the roll has been called, and some of you are here and some of you are not. But I hope that you would join us in the classroom of Straight Talk in room 503 as we continue down the road for the betterment of all the children. Thank you very much. Take care.